Part 19. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 187. Susienner looked at the blackened image of tomato and scrambled eggs, and slowly right-clicked the mouse. A few rows of words appeared, and there was a sentence below. Move contacts to blacklist. Yes, Susienner is considering whether to block this guy. Because it's too annoying. She didn't block her before because she felt guilty. She couldn't help the other party help her earn so much money. How could she not be the other party's RBQ? The salty fish should just hug the boss's thigh and shout 666 from the side. But, now that she has made money, she has become a big boss in the game, well, a Krypton gold-rich African boss. In fact, she wanted to return the money that the other party had helped her with Krypton in the past, but after thinking about it, she decided not to. The other party must have had enough money to help her with Krypton. If she did that, it would be an insult to the boss if she thought about it. After hesitating and hesitating, Susienner still couldn't make a move. Forget it, just chat with each other every day anyway, Susienner comforted herself in her heart. Just when she was about to continue surfing the internet, Chen Shui called. The ending of the Book of Life and Death will not be announced. Send it, definitely send it. Then you still haven't posted it, Chen Shui said angrily on her phone. I posted on Weibo saying that the Book of Life and Death is coming to an end, but we fans have been refreshing it, and you haven't uploaded it yet. Now Chen Shui can be regarded as a die-hard fan of the Book of Life and Death. In addition to the book, she reads all the comics drawn by Susienner. Of course, your name was forcibly discontinued, so now there is only one Book of Life and Death. Oh. Susienner hit her palm and suddenly realized, I forgot. Chen Shui was speechless. Susienner hung up the other party's phone, and then quickly uploaded the cartoonist's background. After doing all this, she continued to play the game. Although it was said that she had given up on DNF, she still held the AD-23 soul-releasing sword given to her by Chen Rui in her hand. Wang Ximen could not compare to this. Even if the opponent drew something, she would be worthy as long as she had this. Other side. In faraway Canada, when Wang Ximen had just finished taking a shower and was getting ready to go to bed, her cell phone suddenly buzzed. When she picked up the phone and looked at it, her eyes lit up. The Book of Life and Death has been updated. It's over. That's right, Wang Ximen, as a stay-at-home girl, likes playing games the most, but after joining the stay-at-home game, she started to get involved in various industries. She likes novels, comics, animations, and other things in ACK, and it was Susienner who brought her into the house. It can be said that Susienner is her evangelist. It can be said that she was very lucky. When she entered the house, it happened to be the Miao Pen era. This is also a big reason why Wang Ximen likes Susienner, because Susienner opened the door to a new world for her and knew a lot of things she didn't know, and as a handicapped person, there are many people who can't be beaten in the game. Boss, the opponent can be easily defeated, he is simply the Prince Charming in her heart. Of course, in order to get rid of the other party, Susienner previously called herself a fat otaku and an instant noodle man, the kind of jobless vagrant who indulges in games all day without doing any real work, and is also ugly. But, none of this can stop Wang Ximen from liking Susienner. Because Wang Ximen felt that if the other party said this to her sincerely, it meant that the other party was sincere. As for the homeless person? What does it matter? As long as she tells her father whether he has a job or not, it doesn't matter even if he doesn't work. She will support him. As for ugly? Sorry, as the daughter of the world's richest man, Wang Ximen has seen so many handsome men that she is almost suffering from visual fatigue. Ugliness might still be fresh, anyway. Wang Ximen is convinced of Susienner and pesters Susienner to have sex every day. It's just that Susienner has been avoiding this topic and keeps talking about seeing Guangdai. Anyway, she just doesn't show her face, which makes Wang Ximen extremely helpless. The Book of Life and Death was also read by Susianer Only. She said that it was a masterpiece and that life would lose its meaning if it were not read. When she read it with novelty and curiosity, she was immediately immersed in it. To this day, he is still #1 on the fan list, with a total reward of more than 500,000 RBM, which is a great figure. At that time, she wanted to continue to reward, but Susianer pulled her back. Book of Life and Death is over, so naturally she wants to finish it as soon as possible. There are many people like Wang Ximen. Of course they are not as rich as the other party, but most of them feel the same as Wang Ximen about the ending of Book of Life and Death. Some fans even said that they stopped watching the ending, fearing that they would feel disappointed after watching it. But there are many people who are worried that Susianer's control will not end well. Yes, Book of Life and Death has experienced various doubts since its serialization, but Susianer has all slapped it in the face. But now it's not other cartoonists who are doubtful, but their own fans who are worried. Book of Life and Death was watched step by step by fans like them. From the initial battle for justice to the battle between Yagami and L's camp, to the disputes between fans, it all means that this is a masterpiece. At least, many readers have not seen anything comparable to Book of Life and Death in the field of suspense novels and comics. As for the question that fans are worried about, it is actually very simple, that is, how will Yagami die? Regarding the ending of Yagami's death, readers no longer have any psychological fluctuations. Because in the later stages of the manga, Yagami's character has become completely distorted, even his father has not let him go. This makes many people who like Yagami know that this character must die. However, the dead protagonists did not have any psychological fluctuations, because the Book of Life and Death is not a single protagonist, but a dual protagonist, and L is also one of the protagonists. The discussion on this issue in Myobi Bar is very intense now. Some people even said that they dare not watch the ending, for fear that they will not be satisfied with the ending. And now, Myobi teacher has not revealed this issue. Even near the end, the situation seems to be a bit confusing. Although L suspects or even confirms that Light Yagami is the murderer, there is no evidence how to make Light Yagami reveal his identity. Myobi teacher has not revealed this point yet. And if Light Yagami is easily caught, these fans will definitely not agree, because this should not be the ending of a masterpiece at all. But when Susianer posted the ending, many people who said they dared not watch the ending opened the Book of Life and Death as soon as possible. They finally couldn't resist the temptation, want to see how the ending of Myobi teacher will be. While readers flocked to the finale of the Book of Life and Death. At the Tencent Comics headquarters, Zhaojing and many editors were nervously looking at the background data of the Book of Life and Death. The ending of the Book of Life and Death is not a trivial matter. This is a comic that everyone in the Animation Administration Bureau pays close attention to. If it collapses at the end, it will really be a waste of all previous efforts. They have seen the ending and all agree that it is perfect. But, whether readers and fans accept it or not is not something that their editors can control. So readers' feedback is very important, and it is related to the subsequent IP actions of the Book of Life and Death. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 188. The ending of the Book of Life and Death was adapted by Susianer based on the movie version of the previous life. In her heart, it was a perfect ending. If the fans of this world are not satisfied with this ending, she can only marvel at how tricky the tastes of the people in the other world are. But when I think about traveling back in time, I can read all the muscle books, so I don't have to worry about playing games with peace of mind. As soon as the ending of the comic was released, many people watched the ending immediately. The final ending of Book of Life and Death is about the protagonist Yagami knowing L's name and writing down L's name, but L actually wrote his own name in another Book of Life and Death. The Book of Life and Death has a rule that you cannot use the Book of Life and Death to kill people with only 20 days left to live, so L did not die. Afterwards, Yagamayu struggled to ask for help from the King of Hell, but when the King of Hell saw Yagamayu's failure, he also felt that he had had enough fun in the human world, so he directly wrote Yagamayu's name in his notebook. 40 seconds later, Yashinayu died of paralysis in his heart. The finale. When readers see these 3 words, they can't help but stare at these pages, flipping back and forth, and suddenly feel a sense of emptiness in their hearts. Many cartoonists felt a sense of admiration in their hearts after reading it, and had a lot to say in their hearts. This was the finale of a masterpiece, and they felt they should do something and say something. The ending is unpredictable. Thank you Teacher Miyobi for bringing me this showdown about the peak of IQ. After reading Book of Life and Death, I may not touch suspense novels and comics in the future. I can only say that this ending is really perfect. When I learned that L wrote his name in another Book of Life and Death, I couldn't help but be shocked. Sure enough, people like L only exist in novels or comics. As a supporter of Yagamayu, I feel a sense of loss at this moment. The ending scene made me know that except for Mihai, there is probably no one close to Yagamayu. Even my own biological father. Afraid of yourself, Yagamayu, is such a pitiful and hateful person. I think if there was some sparkling potassium cyanide on Yagamayu's dessert, L would have been dead a long time ago, and the cause of death was very similar to heart paralysis. Why didn't Yagamayu think of this? I admire Teacher Miyobi's IQ. It's hard to imagine that this perfect suspense work was drawn by a high school girl. The last sentence was approved by everyone, and fans had a new understanding of Susiener's IQ. In their minds, before the ending appeared, although Susiener created an atmosphere of the ending, as fans and readers, they could not imagine how I could make Yashinayu subdue. The internet is more inclined to believe that Yagamayu will win and build a new world. After all, Yagamayu's death is just their guess. Even if Yashinayu failed and died in the end, they were always thinking about how I was trying to protect himself and capture Yashinayu, but Teacher Miyobi had another way in mind, that is, L and Yashinayu died together. This ending left fans with an indescribable feeling. Let's just say he's not satisfied, that's because he's not satisfied with L's death too. But when it comes to satisfaction, they are extremely satisfied, because they can't think of a more perfect ending than this one. Of course, they also know that L won this IQ showdown. No one refutes this view. Tencent Animation Headquarters. How's it going? Zhao Jing and other chief editors asked the staff in the data department, all looking nervous. No one doubts the popularity of Book of Life and Death. What they are nervous about is entirely the degree of satisfaction with the ending, and what can reflect the degree of satisfaction is the increase in comments, recommendation votes, and rewards. Especially rewards. When a comic is finished, rewards are a key point. Rewards after the completion of the book are readers' expectations for the cartoonist. They hope that the cartoonist can bring the next comic as exciting as the first one, so they will be very diligent in giving rewards, to motivate the cartoonist. Can draw more exciting comics. This is statistics from the comics industry. Good comics can receive tons of rewards when they are completed. The comments in the comment section of Book of Life and Death are increasing like crazy, with nearly 1,000 comments per second. The recommendation votes are also growing like crazy. Now the total recommendation votes have exceeded 20 million, and the number of recommendation votes since the ending has increased by 2 millions. This data is still increasing rapidly, if you give rewards. The staff of the data department suddenly stopped, with shocked eyes, and stuttered in a shocking tone, rewards, from the time the ending was released to now within 20 minutes, up to 12 million. 12 million, Zhao Jing's brows softened, and his tone was full of surprise. According to the book currency for reading comics, $1 is equal to 100 virtual coins. The 12 million virtual coins are equivalent to 120,000 RMB. In just 20 minutes, the reward reached 120,000 yuan. This is unprecedented. Judging from this situation, fans have no doubt about the ending of Book of Life and Death very satisfied. Reward of 120,000 yuan in 20 minutes, not bad. I said this ending will not be a surprise, you must come and see it. You have to take a look and feel at ease. Then can we start the movie project next? Let's not rush this. Let's give the Animation and Animation Management Bureau a break first, so that they can feel at ease. After learning this data, many editors breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Then, that editor-in-chief, editors-in-chief. The staff finally calmed down at this time. Seeing that the editor-in-chief and editors-in-chief seemed to have made a mistake, they took a deep breath and said cautiously, 20 minutes of Book of Life and Death, not 120,000 yuan, but 12 million yuan, the 12 million yuan I just said is RMB. Cough, 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 cough. Zhao Jing wanted to turn around and say a few words, but the staff member's words made him choke when he was about to speak. What? A reward of 12 million yuan. I'm afraid I'm not dreaming. What's going on? Although Zhao Jing choked, he was the first person to calm down. But this 12 million yuan is too scary. This is 12 million yuan, and it's not a ghost currency. Even if the Book of Life and Death is paid to watch, a subscription of 12 million yuan is a fantasy. A novel or comic is the development of copyright, that is, the development of other IPs. Electronic subscriptions are a very small part. In addition, although the number of people in the comics industry has expanded a lot, it has not reached this point. After all, people who read comics are still not as scary as online novels. And not everyone can give rewards, and it's still a number like 12 million. Seeing Zhao Jing's expression of excitement and suspicion, the staff quickly said, 10 million is the tomato scrambled egg reward for the #1 fan list of Book of Life and Death. You are saying that the guy with fried tomatoes and eggs was rewarded 10 million yuan, Luoyang bit hard on the word renminbi with a look of disbelief on his face. Zhao Jing did not speak, but came to a computer and opened the comment area of Book of Life and Death. There is a bright red tip there, which is firmly pushed up. Even if countless comments increase, that tip message is always at the first place. The reward is so exciting that I am moved to tears. You are a gentleman who deserves this reward. I will reward you with 1 billion comic coins for a wonderful tomato scrambled egg. Press and hold 0, and you will be rewarded as much as you want. The series of zeros after the word 1 made the editors at the back dazzled. It felt unreal. Zhao Jing looked at it numbly, feeling a little more unreal than the editor behind him. This is a billion alliance? Especially the sentence press and hold 0, reward as much as you want made everyone feel the aura of an unparalleled majesty. Isn't this a joke? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 189. 66666666666. Did I always think this was a joke? The rich man begs for sex, for support, and for thighs. 1 billion alliance. I don't remember online novels being this crazy. It's great to have money. Why don't I have any money? Let me carefully count how many zeros there are. When Wang Ximen rewarded 10 million yuan, the comment area exploded, and there were a lot of comments about worshipping the rich. Obviously, not only Zhao Jing and the others were dumbfounded, but many readers and fans were also dumbfounded. Stimulated by Wang Ximen, many people began to rush to reward him. This is just like giving out red envelopes. After a big boss sends out red envelopes, there will be an endless stream of red envelopes in the group. In the eyes of other fans, Wang Ximen rewarded him with a reward of 10 million yuan. They must be interested in it. Coupled with the perfect ending of Book of Life and Death, many people can't find any flaws in their hearts. Originally, many rich people were ready to reward them, but now they are even more crazy. So in just 20 minutes, in addition to Wang Ximen's 10 million yuan reward, there were more than 2 million yuan in follow-up rewards. This was because of Wang Ximen's stimulation. And the number of rewards is still increasing rapidly. I remember that Book of Life and Death didn't seem to have signed a contract with Tencent Animation, right? Lu Yang stood behind Zhao Jing and suddenly said this, which made other editors suddenly realize, doesn't that mean that we at Tencent Animation can't get any money? At this point, everyone looked at each other in shock, and their hearts were bleeding. If Tencent Animation was part of this reward, then they would be making crazy money this time. This is pure reward money. As far as this wave of reward money is concerned, none of the cartoonists' rewards for comics in the past 10 years were so large. The total rewards for the Saint now only amount to a few 100,000. When Zhao Jing heard this, he didn't have any fluctuations. After all, Susiener was the cartoonist stationed at Tencent Animation. As long as Susiener didn't leave, everything would be fine. Moreover, Susiener had already handed over the subsequent copyright management of Book of Life and Death to them. It was when Chen Rui cut off the animation copyright that he finally woke up after being scolded by the general manager. So, as long as the copyright is operated properly, making money is secondary, and earning fame is the most important thing. Moreover, the Book of Life and Death has always been free for fans to watch. It was his suggestion. You must know that Susiener can earn more if you pay to subscribe to watch. But Susiener agreed, which moved him. Because free and paid are completely different, free money is secondary, and bringing traffic and fame to Tencent Animation is the main thing. Although the Animation and Animation Administration has imposed restrictions on Book of Life and Death, when the storm has passed, even minors can watch Book of Life and Death. Coupled with the announcement issued by Tencent Animation, there is no such thing in the society. The small budget incident was exposed. Now that Book of Life and Death is over, they will naturally have to take action for the follow-up IP of Book of Life and Death, and this comic is also valued by the Animation Administration. As long as there are no mistakes, Book of Life and Death will be adapted into animation later. Movies, TV series, and even comics later adapted into novels. The animation has been confirmed to be launched on April 1st, and the live-action movies, TV series, and novels still need to be promoted by Tencent Animation. The director of the Animation Administration even said that as long as the fame of this comic can be spread, more people can if they enter the act circle, they will succeed. This is their main purpose. Before, Zhao Jing was still thinking about how to trigger a gimmick to attract people who didn't pay much attention to the act circle, because the name of Book of Life and Death is big enough, and everyone who likes it has watched it, but what do you say to those who don't like it? Nor can I watch it. But this time, 1 Billion League will always arouse the curiosity of those readers who have not read it yet. And if you are curious about the Book of Life and Death, it is only a matter of time to come and read it. Not to mention that the Book of Life and Death is a free comic, and you don't need to spend money to read it. Thinking of this, Zhao Jing breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the rapidly increasing rewards, he couldn't help but sigh. This time, teacher Miyobi has truly established a foothold in the comics industry. Book of Life and Death plus Your Name, in Zhao Jing's opinion, are existences that no cartoonist can surpass, but these two comics are combined in one person, so Susiener is now enough to be considered a leader in the comics industry's queen. The Age of Wonderful Pens as mentioned on the internet has obviously lived up to its name. While Zhao Jing and others were sighing, Wang Zhongxian, who had just arrived in New York, USA, received a text message. Seeing this text message, Wang Zhongxian was startled, then he picked up his cell phone and made a call. There was a consumption of 10 million yuan at 8:11 just now. Please help me check the flow of this 10 million yuan. Okay, Mr. Wang, please wait a moment. 30 seconds later. Mr. Wang, did you spend the RMB 10 million on your card in Canada? That's right. It's like this. The 10 million yuan has been transferred to the headquarters of China Tencent Animation Company. After our investigation, we found that you just used 10 million yuan to purchase virtual currency and rewarded the virtual currency. Reward, Wang Zongxian's frown relaxed slightly. Wait a minute, Mr. Wang, the service team has just completed the investigation. The 10 million yuan was tipped to a comic book of life and death by an account nicknamed Tomato Scrambled Eggs Online. Okay, thank you. Wang Zhongxian finally felt relieved and said calmly. You are too polite. It is our service team's job to serve you. Does Mr. Wang have any other needs or questions? No problem. After hanging up the phone, Wang Zhongxian called the maid in Canada. Master. What is Zyman doing recently? I still like playing games recently, but I want to make a game tonight, so I asked me to tell you, the middle-aged maid said respectfully. I'm just afraid of disturbing your rest, so I plan to inform you tomorrow. Then the middle-aged maid told Wang Zhongxian about Wang Zyman's previous request to make games and to acquire MiHoYo, which made Wang Zhongxian smile. It seems that this girl has had enough of playing and wants to find something to do. As he said, Wang Zhongxian said lightly, you tell that girl that I can agree to her. After all, she is an adult, but the university must be Huaxia Conservatory of Music, and she is not allowed to transfer after 1 or 2 months. Wang Zhongxian was afraid that Wang Zyman would cheat him. If she agreed first and then transferred, he would be helpless, but if she said it first, based on his understanding of his daughter, the other party would still abide by the promise. Okay. That's it. Seeing that they had already arrived at the hotel, Wang Zhongxian didn't say much. After hanging up the phone, he said to the assistant next to him, during the symposium, help me check the cartoonists of the comic book of life and death under Tencent Animation in China. I need detailed information. Also check the domestic MiHoYo company and the current domestic mobile game environment and AC industry. I want to see detailed information within 3 days. Okay, Mr. Wang. The assistant didn't ask more questions, but said respectfully. A text stuck. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 190. 8:30 in the morning. Susienner was so angry. She had nothing to do in the morning and went online to lead the newbies in the group. As a result, she didn't listen to the instructions when she was brushing the dungeon. She moved around randomly in the dungeon, which made her dungeon difficulty suddenly increase, making her angry to death. Thinking about it, the keyboard was clacking, and the computer screen was showing the DNF game. In the chat bar in the lower right corner, all kinds of insulting words burst out. Seeing this, the leader of the game privately poked her on QQ to tell her not to be angry. Don't be angry anymore, quit the game, Susienner said, and then quit the game and uninstalled it in one go. She was going to quit this crappy game, but she was bored and went online again. As a result, she encountered this kind of thing early in the morning, so she just quit the game directly. The leader saw the scene and was dumbfounded. Hey, big brother, is it really okay for you to quit like this? The newbies in the group still need you to lead them, and they haven't shouted 666 enough. But no matter how he poked Susienner, the other party didn't reply. Just as Susienner uninstalled the game, Chen Shui called. Boss. You're making crazy money. Damn, you made 13 million this morning, and the number is still rising. Chen Shui's shocked and exaggerated tone came from the phone, which calmed Susienner's anger. What's wrong? Is your period coming? If I can make 13 million in half an hour, I can even have a bloody period. Chen Shui's envious tone came, and then continued, after the completion of Book of Life and Death, The reward has now soared to 13 million yuan, and it is still rising wildly. There is a world-class rich man named Tomato Scrambled Eggs who directly rewarded you 10 million yuan. I remember that the reward of Book of Life and Death seems to belong to you. You can get a lot of small money next month. What? Tomato Scrambled Eggs rewarded 10 million yuan. Susiener was confused. Wouldn't it be even more impossible to block that guy? Would she have to cling to his thigh for the rest of her life? Compared to being a salted fish who can only shout 666, Susiener wants to be a big boss. And 10 million RMB, so much money, to give rewards. Who on earth is this Tomato Scrambled Eggs guy? Although there are countless super rich people in China in the past and present lives, there is no one who gives 10 million in one go. Susiener couldn't figure it out, so she didn't think much about it. Chen Shui was depressed. Aren't you surprised, and happy? Money is just a string of numbers to me. 10 million makes your heart fluctuate like a tsunami. You, naive. Chen Shui almost choked to death. She still remembered the scene when Susiener was crazy because of lack of money. At that time, she cried and shouted to make money, and she almost went around the corners. No more. The Emperor of Rui Dynasty privately chatted with me. Susiener saw Chen Rui privately poke her on QQ, so she hung up Chen Shui's phone and called the other party directly. Miaobi teacher, I have good news for you. Don't tell me, I know. Now is the internet age. I knew about the reward in a second. Feeling Chen Rui's excitement, Susiener rolled her eyes and asked, how is the production progress of Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope? Compared with the news of Book of Life and Death, she paid more attention to Xiao Huanzhu. Anyway, Book of Life and Death is so popular that she will not be surprised no matter what happens. On the contrary, Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope makes her concerned because she still wants to review it. Chen Rui didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Didn't Susiener know what a reward of 10 million yuan meant? This is a huge gimmick. This means that the animated version of Book of Life and Death launched on April 1st will explode completely because of this gimmick. Just now, people from the Animation Administration Bureau called them, hoping that they can keep the plot of the comics and not make too many cuts or additions. Obviously, the people from the Animation Administration Bureau are very satisfied with the plot of Book of Life and Death drawn by Susiener and feel that there is no need to make too many adaptations. B Station agrees with this point, because they themselves have no intention of adding or deleting. The Book of Life and Death can be made into a 13-episode TV series. Although Chen Rui thinks it is watery enough to last for 20 episodes, after understanding it, he realized that the most taboo in suspense genres, whether it is novels, comics, animations, movies, or TV series, is to have a watery plot. Because suspense itself is a story based on the plot. If it is watery, the audience will not have that kind of emotion once the plot is dragged. This is also the reason why the Animation Administration Bureau called B Station to knock on it, just to prevent B Station from doing unnecessary things. Chen Rui called Susiener to ask her to warm up the animation of the Book of Life and Death, for example, cosplay as Mihai, and then post the photo on Weibo. There is no need to show the face, just the photo will definitely arouse the enthusiastic feedback and viewing enthusiasm of fans, and if B Station helps to promote it, it may have unexpected results. As a result, when Chen Rui talked about this idea, no way, I promise you cosplay, it's a character from Xiao Huanzhu, you guys just do Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope well, don't always think about it. Susiener was speechless when she heard it, and directly rejected it, then thought of something and said, by the way, have you finished Wazi's silver hair? If you are done, mail it to me. You said that using cosplay to warm up is a good idea. Wazi's school uniform is no different from her school uniform, so as long as the wig and contact lenses are mailed to her, she will put on the school uniform and it will be cosplay. It's done. Chen Rui's mind was confused when he heard it. What he wanted was to warm up for Book of Life and Death, not beautiful girl kaleidoscope. But Susiener had already rejected it. In addition, since the other party wanted to warm up for beautiful girl kaleidoscope, he had no choice. After all, it was a game made by B Station. Thinking of this, Chen Rui sighed and said, "I'll have someone send it to you later. Hurry up." Susiener hung up the phone. An hour later, the things arrived. When Susiener unpacked the things, what caught her eyes was a silver long ponytail wig and a small box with exquisite packaging. She knew that there were beauty contact lenses inside. Since she didn't show her face, Susiener didn't ask B Station to send the vampire dentures. Not bad. She took a look at the silver hair, which was very natural and not inferior, and touched the hair again. It was very smooth. I don't know how B Station made this wig, but the high-quality hair made Susiener very interested. I never thought that I would become a cross-dresser one day. Anyway, I gave up DNF this morning, and now I'm bored, so Susiener started to dress up. Of course, Susiener doesn't know how to dress up. She just put her long black hair up, and then wore her silver hair in a long ponytail, and then put on her contact lenses. After doing all this, Susiener came to the mirror and looked at it. Her eyes lit up, and then she found something missing. School uniform. Susiener slapped her head and remembered that she hadn't worn women's clothes yet. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 191. Although Susiener is not used to dressing up in women's clothing, she naturally has to give it a try for the warm-up of Beautiful Girl 1 Who a Mirror and for the small butter industry in this world. Sacrifice the small self to fulfill the greater self. When she thought that what she did was full of positive energy, Susiener gave up her shame in the blink of an eye. In the previous life, those women's clothing bosses could wear women's clothing with peace of mind. How could she, a girl who is biologically a girl, retreat? When she came to the closet that was sealed by her, she opened it and looked at the dazzling array of clothes and various little skirts. Susiener was dazzled, but she quickly took out her school uniform. After putting it on the bed, Susiener found that there seemed to be something missing. By the way, stockings. How can a school uniform be without stockings? Wearing stockings and school skirts separated by a few centimeters, revealing a touch of white jade skin, is the absolute realm. With this thought in mind, Susiener knelt down and opened the small drawer under the wardrobe, but was stunned when she saw it. A fresh and elegant fragrance came out from the drawer, and what came into her eyes were various colors of mooncakes. Mostly white, followed by pink and green. Blue and white bowl. Susiener couldn't help but get excited when she saw a blue and white moon. She used to shout about blue and white bowl on the internet, but when she saw it in person for the first time, she felt so emotional. It's really like a pilgrimage. Classmate Sue, what are you doing? Listening to the shouting, Lin Jingshu, who had just returned to get something, came to Susiener's bedroom, looked at her, and couldn't help but wonder. The sudden sound startled Susiener. When she saw it was Lin Jingshu, she couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and complained, "Why are you walking silently?" Then she thought of something, "By the way, aren't you still in class now? Why are you back? I forgot to bring something and came back to get it, and I just made a sound while walking, okay." You were too attentive. Lin Jingshu rolled her eyes, and then asked curiously, "What are you doing? You are finally ready to wear school uniform and go to class. Really? And, you just lied to me when you said your whole body was sore." Thanks to Susiener, the school's girls' uniforms are now very eye-catching, because their uniform style is the same as Sujug's uniform on the concert stage. So when walking on the street, girls from the school are very noticeable, but the school leaders are very happy. After all, as long as Sujug wears that school uniform from now on, he will be promoting the school. The internet even speculated that Yuexi High School in Shanghai is the school of teacher Miaobi. Although there are such speculations, they are still very few. After all, you can't just assume that because the school uniforms are the same. Of course, some fans in Magic City came here specifically to look for it, wondering if it was, although they didn't know Susienner. Station B said that Sujug's face shape was drawn based on Susienner's face shape, or painted by Susienner herself. However, Susienner still said that these fans were too young. If she was exposed, she would have been recognized by the classmates around her. Do she still need fans to come looking for her? The reason for this is because although Sujug was drawn according to her face shape, the 2 dimensions and the 3 dimensions are different. And Sujug is a 2-dimensional character. How she looks like her is impossible to tell unless you look carefully. How could a person whom he didn't know in the modern society look for a girl to compare carefully with a 2-dimensional painting when he was full? Such a person didn't need Susienner to do anything. Naturally, some students would call the police. On the other hand, the 22 vertical painting at Station B is more realistic, but although it looks like it, it is still very blurry, so Susienner is naturally not afraid of being recognized. Susienner smiled awkwardly, "No way, I'll hold on to the pain in my body and get out of bed to get dressed." Really, Lin Jingshu looked unbelieving. She obviously knew that Susienner had lied to her, but she was used to Susienner's situation. Instead, she was very curious about what the other party wanted to do. And Susienner didn't hide it from the other party. Of course, the person cosplaying as Little Butter couldn't tell. Cosplay, Lin Jingshu's eyes lit up and she also noticed the wig on the bed. She couldn't help but said eagerly, "Let me dress you up." Susienner laughed dryly, "Forget it." She was still suffering from psychological problems last time. It was later found out that she had twin ponytails, and because of her extremely tender face, she looked several years younger than usual and was regarded as a little Lolita. "Let me do it. I'm experienced. I've been to comic expos, and I will never mess around." Lin Jingshu obviously didn't want to let Susienner go. She was very keen on dressing up Susienner, let alone cosplaying. In the end, Susienner couldn't win over the other party, so she had no choice but to agree. Anyway, she only wore a wig and colored contact lenses, so what other tricks could the other party come up with? Lin Jingshu really couldn't do anything, because she just wanted to see Susienner cosplay. "What game character do you want to cosplay?" "The game is still under development. The character is called Wuji, a vampire." "What about the teeth?" "Anyway, I won't show my face. I didn't ask anyone from Station B to send it over." Lin Jingshu looked disappointed. Even if she didn't show her face, she still wanted to take more photos and save them in her phone album and computer album. She would take turns using them as her phone wallpaper in the future. Susienner didn't know what Lin Jingshu was thinking, so she pulled her to the computer and let her take a look at Wu Ji's portrait. So beautiful, Lin Jingshu's eyes lit up and she stared at it. It was the first time she had seen such an exquisite picture, and she was completely attracted by the style of painting alone. Why is beautiful girl Wanhu a mirror so popular? Delicacy and beauty are the early attractions of this game. After all, the style of painting is the first impression of people who play the game, just like the appearance of a person. And beauty girl Wanhu a mirror is a peerless beauty, no matter the characters, scenery, or architecture, they are all exquisite and beautiful. Susienner expected that Lin Jingshu was attracted to it at first sight. Seeing this, Susienner didn't have any ink stains, she just took a photo and posted it on Weibo. She didn't want to have ink stains all day long. Only. "Do you want to wear safety pants?" Pulling on her skirt, Susienner felt that air was leaking from her lower body, and she was very uncomfortable, although the coolness was very comfortable. Click. As a result, Lin Jingshu did not answer, but took pictures with bright eyes. Especially when she saw Susienner's shy look for the first time, her breathing was a little short. Lin Jingshu obviously didn't know that she had been subtly influenced by Susienner, and now she was showing signs of metamorphosis. Even Susienner didn't notice this. He glanced at Lin Jingshu helplessly and said, "Stop taking pictures. What kind of safety pants are you wearing?" Lin Jingshu put away her cell phone with satisfaction, then rolled her eyes at Susienner and said, "I just took a photo." "All right. Hurry up and pose." Lin Jingshu urged, suddenly realizing, no. Since it's a cosplay, you must cosplay the charm of the character. What is Wu Ji's personality? Shaking S. Like this, show me a look of contempt. The next moment, Lin Jingshu couldn't help but laugh out loud when she saw Susienner winking. Obviously Susienner doesn't have any acting talent. However, through Susienner's efforts and Lin Jingshu's guidance, a perfect cosplay photo was finally taken. Twisting her hair with the back of her hand, her delicate face was slightly tilted, her eyes were contemptuous, and the corner of her mouth was slightly raised with a sarcastic smile. This flawless cosplay was photographed by Lin Jingshu on her mobile phone, and it made her eyes glow with love. While Susienner was changing clothes, she suddenly remembered something and couldn't help but said, "By the way, remember to Photoshop my face into a mosaic. I don't want to be exposed." Huh, Lin Jingshu suddenly stiffened. Hearing the sound, Susienner glanced at the computer screen, and found that Lin Jingshu had uploaded to Weibo, but her face was not mosaic at all. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. La la la, it's time to promote books. The quality of the books recommended by this author is guaranteed. This time I recommend a two-dimensional book, Stay at Home Dad, which tells the story of the protagonist's three future daughters, Little Loli, who travel back in time and help the protagonist chase girls. Nice idea, my eyes light up. In order to give the author the motivation to write, if you think it is good, you can add it to the bookshelf with a single click. I still remember that when this book had 60,000 to 70,000 words, it had only 200 plus collections. I almost went to the palace, so when I saw some good seedlings, I couldn't help but want to take care of them. Taking care of seedlings is everyone's responsibility. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 192. Chapter 188. A false alarm, thanks to the reward from the cute master Rongaruo. So boring, it seems like I'm licking Teacher Miyobi. When will Teacher Miyobi release photos? Don't worry, I don't believe she won't release photos when Teacher Miyobi becomes more and more famous. People from Bilibili and Tencent Comics just won't reveal it, damn it. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. Those paparazzi are so arrogant at ordinary times, but they always fail at the critical moment. In a certain group of the Princess Knights, a group of people were talking nonsense with nothing to do. The whole group was filled with the smell of salted fish, and the topic of discussion was still Susienner's appearance. This has become a big unsolved mystery in the comics industry. People who have seen Teacher Miyobi at the annual meeting said that Susienner was simply the most beautiful girl they had ever seen, just like a little Lolita from the second dimension, who was so cute that they were almost overwhelmed. They even said that if they had such a daughter, they would dedicate the best things in the world to each other, and would try their best to get the stars and the moon. Although the tone was exaggerated, it was this exaggerated tone that made people feel itchy. Especially when Tencent held its annual meeting, there were a few members who sneaked into the venue. As soon as they came back, they shouted in the group that they would probably be single for the rest of their lives. After seeing Teacher Miyobi, other girls would never be pleasing to the eye again. As soon as such words came out, everyone except the group leader was banned from speaking. As for the group leader, he naturally dressed as a woman to calm the public anger. Because they promised to live broadcast but did not do it, and there was not even a photo, it naturally aroused public outrage. But just not being able to see it made them feel even more itchy. This has almost become an obsession for Susienner's fans. And just when these fans were bored, suddenly a message appeared in the major fan groups before. Myobi teacher leaked photos. These words swept almost all the fans in an instant. What the hell? Link, what the hell, don't just talk. It's on Weibo, I saw it. Where's the screenshot? I'll take a screenshot. Many people saw this information and went straight to Susienner's Weibo without saying a word, but they were stunned when they opened the web page. Were they deceived? This is the information that emerged in everyone's mind, and then they couldn't help but get angry. However, the next moment, they saw the information that the previous Weibo was deleted. Opening the comments on the deleted Weibo, they found that they were all asking where the leaked photos were. There were none at all. And the one message that was pinned high was a message. Myobi teacher just posted a cosplay photo. If I'm not mistaken, it should be a photo of Myobi teacher, but this photo was deleted as soon as it was posted. The interval was less than 1 second, and the page was refreshed directly. There was no time to take a screenshot. I estimate that only a few hundred or dozens of people saw it, so if there is a screenshot, please let us homeless children enjoy a little warmth. In Susienner's opinion, Weibo in this world has a very stupid setting, that is, if the blogger posts a Weibo, if the Weibo is deleted, the page will be refreshed immediately, and then the Weibo will disappear. This is simply stupid in Susienner's opinion, because those who should have taken a screenshot have already taken a screenshot, and deleting the Weibo is useless. But today, Susienner almost knelt down and called her dad. The Weibo staff who came up with this setting are simply savior parents. And if someone took a screenshot this second, she would accept it? It would be best if no one took a screenshot. In fact, Susienner also knew that the greater the fame, the more it would be exposed in the end, but she just didn't want to be exposed. The reason is very simple. She is going to retire. The good days will come when she goes to college. She will enjoy college life. If she is too famous, what should she do if a bunch of fans chase her every day? This is Susienner's simple idea, so it is best not to expose it. She is afraid that she will stop drawing comics in the end, and fans will come to question her in reality. How will she answer then? Should she say that she has made enough money and it is time to start enjoying the dead life of salted fish Krypton gold? I guess she will be hung up. I didn't mean it, Lin Jingshu said weakly. She just took too many photos and was in an excited state. She forgot what Susienner said before about hiding her face. She sent them out in excitement. In her opinion, beautiful things should be shared by everyone. Humph. Susienner looked at Lin Jingshu's dangerous aura, and then said sinisterly, I'll spare your life, but you have to agree to one condition of mine. What condition? Lin Jingshu became alert when she heard this. She is a person with psychological shadows. I haven't thought about it yet, let's talk about it later. Susienner still remembered that the other party had not fulfilled the conditions of Your Name, but the interruption of the Your Name comic was her own fault, so she could only wait for the animation movie to be released, and then she could, he. Okay. Lin Jingshu breathed a sigh of relief, and then said carefully, then let's PS it and upload it now. Yes, Susienner could only hope that no one would take a screenshot. When Lin Jingshu helped Susienner mosaic, Weibo had completely fallen out. Many people asked for photos and screenshots under the Weibo, but after a few minutes, no one stood up to take screenshots. What's the use of you? Have you forgotten about the last live broadcast? You didn't take a screenshot first. Damn it. There are lessons learned from the past, why are you making the same mistakes again? Oh, I feel like I'll never see teacher Myobi again in this life. What's the point of such a life? I'm on the rooftop. It's a shame to take a screenshot. I was so stunned by the beauty of the photo that I couldn't react at all. Fortunately, I saw it, but I feel like I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. I wanted to take a screenshot, but when I pressed the screenshot button, the page was refreshed and no screenshot was taken at all. I think I need to explain the settings of this retarded Weibo. In the comments, every fan was disappointed and felt that life was boring. Some even directly expressed their anger on Weibo. Just when they were disappointed, Lin Jingsha finally photoshopped the photos. Susiener explained a little before taking the photo. I'm really sorry for the accident just now. Many fans thought it was a photo of me, but it's not. This is a cosplay I found to make a game. The lady is so beautiful that I naturally can't let you see it first. I guess in this year's I'll see you at Comic-Con, so don't forget to support the new game. As for what game it is, I'll let you know when the time comes, so stay tuned. After selling the cuteness, Susiener directly posted the PS photos. When fans saw this Weibo of Teacher Miyobi, they all breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out to be not Teacher Miyobi, so there was no loss if they didn't see it. And those who saw it were greatly disappointed. Although the cosplayers were very delicate and cute, if they were not Teacher Miyobi, they would be boring. However, after such a fuss, Susiener did not expect that fans would be very curious about this game. After all, Teacher Miyobi said that this was a game she made. Teacher Miyobi has learned so badly that he actually engages in hunger marketing. What game? I've been tired of playing mobile games lately. They're all Q versions. But after Teacher Miyobi appeared, the style of painting changed, and mobile games started to change, but I still haven't found one that stands out. A game made by Teacher Miyobi? Looking forward to it. When Chen Rui learned that the public opinion about Akkon Weibo had changed, he couldn't help but sigh. Originally, Book of Life and Death was the peak of attention now, but after Susiener's actions, many people's attention was diverted to the game. Especially when that cosplay made a fuss, almost all Susiener's fans were alarmed. Isn't this a trap? Thanks to the cute host of Wrong Aruo for rewarding OVO, I will give you my more than 20,000 RBQ for one day, transformed into a comic book artist author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 193. 2 or 3 days have passed since the last Weibo cosplay incident, and it is April Fool's Day on April 1st. Today is the day when the animation of Book of Life and Death is launched. Many people are looking forward to it, but many people also ask about the game every day under Susiener's Weibo. Because Susiener not only preheated beautiful girl Kaleidoscope herself, but also pestered the official B station to let her post a Weibo using Sujug's Weibo. Today I pestered my sister to ask about the name of the game, and finally I got it. The game is called Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope, and there is also a sneak peek of the heroine's portrait, which was drawn by my sister. I hope everyone will not tell my sister, for fear of being beaten OVO. The picture is the color portrait of Wuzzy. And this portrait directly made the fans explode. Because, it's too beautiful and exquisite. And the person who saw the cosplay 2 days ago even called the cosplay a perfect restoration, but many people have not seen it. But after seeing the color portrait of Wuzzy, I looked back at the PS cosplay and was amazed. The whole cosplay has a folding fan under the eyes, and the cosplay characters' hands interact, so it looks quite harmonious. And what attracted them most was the eyes. That kind of contempt completely revealed the expression of Wuzzy sent by Sujug, making people more interested in this cosplay girl. Although I don't know what game this is, just a colorful portrait of Wuzzy has attracted a lot of people. This is the power of Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope, not to mention that this portrait is a color painting by Susiener, which is simply tearful. Since the second episode of Susien series, these fans have not seen other painted works by Miyobi Teacher. Other cartoonists are all color pictures, only Miyobi Teacher's comics are black and white, which is simply unique. Susiana expressed satisfaction with the preheating of the game. In the past few days, she has been surfing the internet. Although most people are discussing Book of Life and Death, many people are still discussing the game Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope. Although Chen Rui complained to her every day and asked her to stop leading the trend, she didn't care. Anyway, Book of Life and Death would definitely not fail. At 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, Book of Life and Death was officially launched on Bilibili. Just when the entire Bilibili and even the entire network were paying attention to this, Susiana was chatting with Wang Ximen online. Scrambled eggs with tomato, I have good news for you. My father has already captured all the shareholders of that game company. Now I have 55% of the shares in my hands. I can continue to buy shares from the other party's chairman tomorrow. Susiana was stunned. Your father agreed in just a few days? And the shares are almost collected? It's too fast, isn't it? Susiana agreed casually before, thinking that the other party's sudden idea that flashed in his mind would definitely not work. And even if the other party is very rich and rewarded her with 10 million, Susiana knows that Wang Ximen is a high school student, so how could the other party's parents agree to buy a company? This is simply a joke. Even Susiana was wondering if the other party stole her parents' bank cards for the reward. After all, he disappeared for 2 or 3 days and didn't talk to her. Did his family break his legs? As a result, Wang Ximen came to inform her that her father was about to acquire the company. Isn't this toxic? The daughter is unreliable, and the father is also unreliable? I advise you not to be impulsive. You have no experience as a planner. Isn't this giving heads to other game companies? Don't worry, I'm learning how to be a good planner these days. So you didn't harass me these days, are you learning? Susiana was speechless. It's a waste of money to acquire a game company. Tomato scrambled eggs, don't worry, my family is very rich. My dad secretly bought a natural park in New York some time ago and spent more than 100 million. It's good to be rich. What else can Susiana say? She can only sigh that she doesn't understand the world of the super rich. Then it's a deal. When I return to China, we can be planners together. Let's talk about it later. Susiana laughed and continued to fool around. At this point, she couldn't say she was a girl anymore. The other party was rich and powerful, and she was afraid that the other party would destroy her in anger. The next day, when the whole network was flooded with news about Book of Life and Death, Lu Wei, in the office of the chairman of MiHoYo, felt deeply betrayed. After answering the phone, looking at the person in front of him, he said calmly, "Are you going to buy my shares?" "Mr. Lu, we are very optimistic about the prospects of MiHoYo. We know that the main building of MiHoYo was originally established by you and your friends, and the relationship is very deep. This is also our last resort. Please don't be angry about this matter." Although Wang Zhongxian knew about MiHoYo, he also knew that the company could only be regarded as a small workshop. The game Honkai Impact 3 made it popular once, but the entire company's profitability was still not good. In addition, because of Wang Ximen's urging, he cut the Gordian knot. He used a lot of money to buy out the shares held by the directors, and in just 2 days he controlled 55% of the shares. I, the chairman, was the last to know. At this point, Lu Wei's eyes were bitter, and he felt powerless. "Tell me, what are your demands? We don't ask for much. The choice is in your hands. If you don't sell the shares in your hands, then I'm afraid you won't be able to participate in the company's management. You can just sit back and pay dividends every year. Of course, if you sell your shares to us, the position of chairman is still yours, you are still the chief planner of Ben-Er, and the management of the company is still in your hands." When Lu Wei heard this, he sighed deeply. He knew that if the shares were sold, he would become a high-level wage earner. But if he doesn't sell it, the other party holds so many shares, and the decision-making power of the company is no longer with him. The other party has 55% of the shares, which is completely a one-word statement. Okay, I'll sell it, Lu Wei gritted his teeth. For the sake of his own dream, he still wanted to continue to control the game of Honor, and he also wanted to watch MiHoYo continue to grow. Naturally, he just watched if he didn't want to. When the contract was signed, the visitor couldn't help but ask curiously, where is the remaining 5% of the shares? It's not on us, it's on Teacher Miyobi. Lu Wei felt disappointed at this time and did not hide Susiener's matter. I see, do you have Teacher Miyobi's contact information? Thinking that the chairman's daughter is an obsessive-compulsive disorder and a perfectionist, it gave the visitor a bit of a headache. Have. What? You want to take back my shares? There's no way. Susiener just finished washing up early in the morning when she received a call from Lu Wei, and she refused without thinking. Although Honkai Impact 3 is rubbish in her opinion, its ability to make money has been proven in the previous life. What's more, this world is even more different. Susiener believes that this kind of game will make more money than in the previous life. After all, there is no Netizes on Myoji or Tencent's Honor of Kings in this world. Although these two companies are also in the process of research and development, if Honkai Impact 3 comes out first and does enough publicity, it will definitely make a lot of money. This kind of sitting at home waiting to collect money. Although it only has 5% of the shares, it is still money. How can Susiener return it? Teacher Miyobi is like this. Toot toot. Before she finished speaking, Susiener hung up the phone, leaving Lu Weiqian to stare. After learning about this situation, the visitor was dumbfounded. According to Lu Wei, Susiener was the kind of guy who just waited for dividends regardless of things, so he had no way of making a move. He couldn't think of a way, so he could only call Wang Zhongxian to tell him about the situation. Knowing this situation, Wang Zhongxian also had a headache. His daughter has a perfectionist tendency and has a lot of obsessive-compulsive disorder about house decoration. If the shares were not 100%, Wang Zimen would probably become emotional. Thinking of this, Wang Zhongxian rubbed his head, and in the end he could only test his daughter. 10 minutes later, when Susiener was about to be dragged to school by Lin Jingshu, she received a message from Wang Zimen. Dear. Wang Zimen told Susiener what happened to MiHoYo, and then said, my dad is too stupid and can't think of a way. Is there anything you can do? What can I do? Susiener rolled her eyes and typed casually, take money and beat him to death. As soon as the shot passed, she suddenly felt something was wrong. I was wrong and I apologize. The first 2 chapters are really watery, they don't say anything, they are almost like nonsense. In fact, my writing status is not good yet, but the editor asked me to update stably 2 days ago because there will be a client recommendation in a few days. In addition, it is not good to interrupt the update. I guess URBQS will get emotional, so I tried hard to hold it in, and wrote 2 very unnutritious chapters. I was wronged. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 194. Take money and throw it at him. When Wang Zimen heard this while lying on the bed, her eyes lit up. Yes. It's all my father's fault for leading me astray. Yes, is there anything in this world that money can't solve? No, Susiener rolled her eyes, do you still need me to teach you this truth? Practice the truth in mobile games, and if you have money, you will have it. Everything. That's right, Wang Zimen's eyes were bright. Ever since she was a child, she could buy whatever she needed as long as she had money. This concept has long been ingrained in her mind. It's just that she has never been exposed to business, and when Wang Zhongxian is at home, he will tell her that although interests are above all else in business, all aspects need to be managed, and the most important ones are connections, social status, and favors. When he reaches Wang Zhongxian's position, money is secondary. Social status, connections, and relationships are the last word. Therefore, she was taught by Wang Zhongxian and fully influenced by Wang Zimen. Now Susianer explained the power of money to her, which opened the door to a new world again. She thought that as long as she had money in the game, she would be invincible. Thinking of this, Wang Zimen slapped Susianer again and went to talk to her father shyly. When Susianer closed the chat box, she suddenly felt something strange, as if she had forgotten something. 10 minutes later, Susianer received Lu Wei's call again and suddenly realized. Looking at Lin Jingshu next to her, Susianer said with a complicated face, "What if I buried a pit for myself and jumped into it? What should I do at this time? Is the pit deep? Bottomless? Wait to die?" Lin Jingshu rolled her eyes at Susianer. Not knowing what the other party had done, she asked curiously, "Did something happen?" "Alas." Susianer sighed and said, "This is a very complicated story." Lin Jingshu glanced at the other party and immediately lost interest in knowing. "Hello, is this teacher Miyobi?" This time it was not Lu Wei's voice, but the voice of a strange man. Yes, Susianer's mood was complicated. She didn't expect that the company Wang Zimen wanted to acquire was MiHoYo. Isn't this a trap? The most important thing is that Susianer doesn't want to meet Wang Zimen, the other party is her fan. If she knew that she held the shares, would she ask to meet? What will she do then? The other party offered a reward of 10 million, so it would be unreasonable not to meet the other party, and we are all girls. And now if the shares are sold, the other party may not know about it. After all, Wang Zimen obviously didn't understand the situation when they just chatted. She obviously didn't know that she was the one holding the remaining 5% of the shares. This made Susianer very confused. She definitely didn't want to have contact with the other party, and this girl would definitely pester her if she came into contact with him. As for why she is so sure? It was entirely because when Wang Zimen was persuaded by her to watch Book of Life and Death, she looked excited after watching it and told her that if she met teacher Miyobi, she must meet her in real life, and even wanted to become sisters. As for why? Of course, you can read the ending of the manga in advance. What can Susianer do? She is also desperate. What if you get entangled and accidentally reveal yourself to be shredded green pepper pork? You are such a wonderful teacher. You should have some understanding of MiHoYo's situation now. We also know that you are not short of money, but our boss has a quirk, that is, he has great obsessive-compulsive disorder and perfectionism, so I hope that the shares are 100%. She must be upset if she loses 5%, so she wants to acquire your shares. Suji spoke carefully. He knew from Lu Wei's mouth that this person has a casual personality, so naturally he couldn't. To irritate the other party, so we will buy your shares at a higher price than other shares, how about 50 to 30 million%? Grass. When Lu Wei next to him heard this, he immediately started drafting it in his mind. 30 million and 5%? Looking at the contract on the table, he wanted to tear it up directly. When Suji said this 30 million, the corner of Suji's mouth twitched a little. According to his idea, 5% is equivalent to 8 million, which is already doubled, but Wang Zimen asked him to directly pay 3,000 won. The reason is to give the other party a sense of shock and make them confused. Susianer was really confused. 5% of 30 million? Is it worth it? Very good value, great value. In other words, Wang Zimen has now given her the impression that people are stupid and money comes quickly. But thinking about the other party's reward of 10 million, 30 million is probably just drizzle to the other party. But for her, with these 30 million, she can do a lot of things. For example, if you continue to invest in the Your Name animated film, you will definitely make a lot of money by then. But the game Honkai Impact 3 can also make a lot of money. After thinking about it, Susianer said, "Okay, if the shares are to be transferred, I will ask my assistant Chen Shui to discuss it. No problem, Suji breathed a sigh of relief. Although he was throwing money away like a prodigal, it would be fine as long as Susiener lets go. The two hung up the phone. Susiener pulled Lin Jingshu. What's wrong? He looked at the time and saw that there was still plenty of time to go to school. I want to change my mobile phone number. Susiener had to be prepared to prevent Wang Zimen from finding her. Although Lin Jingshu was puzzled, Susiener's personality was like this, quite out of line. She was used to it. After buying a new card, Susiener breathed a sigh of relief. Even if Wang Zimen later knew that 5% of the shares were taken from her, she could not be contacted. As for QQ, she is not in a hurry because she has two QQs. One is for work, which is used to contact artists, and the fan base is also QQ. Private QQ is the QQ added by Wang Zimen, so Susiener is not afraid that the other party will find her on QQ. After doing all this, Susiener was dragged to class by Lin Jingshu. Of course, she definitely wouldn't listen in class, so she played on her phone as usual, but the recent mobile games weren't fun and she was no longer interested. But, recently, many mobile game companies are developing new mobile games because they have cooperation with her studio. This is normal. Many game production companies have a lot of game ideas and creativity, but the style of painting has restricted them and prevent them from developing good mobile games at all. Since she pioneered the painting style, she has saved the mobile game industry, which is full of good and bad. Therefore, many mobile game companies now come to cooperate with Miobi Studio. Even if some studios' vertical paintings are relatively cheap, Miobi Studio's reputation has been established and its reputation is very high. Some players recognize the painting style of Miobi Studio, and if Susiener can be invited to draw vertical paintings, it will be a huge gimmick and publicity point. It's a pity, Susiener didn't accept the order at all. Just when Susiener was bored and scrolling through QQ messages, she discovered that people from the salted fish concentration camp were following her. Out of curiosity, she clicked in. VO, you are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 195. At Miobi, Teacher Miobi needs urgent help. If you can create Teacher Miobi, I'll eat 10 pounds of she. I'll eat it in big mouthfuls. It's not reserved. Luoan, don't blame Teacher Miobi for all your nonsense. Teacher Miobi is so busy. Nima, this is my first time to eat after Teacher Miobi joined the group. Usually you guys just eat when everything is fine. I feel very anxious every time. What if Teacher Miobi gets tired and quits the group? Chat in private. You don't even dare to chat in private. Are you still a man? Master Yi set up a setting that prevents private chat in the group, and then I can't answer Teacher Miobi's questions. What can I do? I'm desperate. Since the last annual meeting, Master Yi found an opportunity and invited Susiener to join the group. Susiener did not refuse this, because these people are all comic book artists, and they will all be the ones who provide her with spiritual food in the future. Naturally, they need to be well trained. In the final analysis, the purpose of that book, The So Family Affair, is to teach these cartoonists not to be so pedantic. In what age are we now? Are we still stuck in the rules? Drawing books are already considered perverted by others, so what does it matter if you become more perverted? What's up? Originally, she ignored it from the salted fish concentration camp, because these mentally retarded people always ask some mentally retarded questions. At the beginning, she would reply and tell them how the men in the book should be perverted and how the women should be. After training, sometimes I would comment on her when I asked a bad question, and after being scolded severely by her, the group would not dare to disturb her without any trouble. 66,666, Ichi. Smile, slap in the face instantly. Oh my god, teacher Miyobi, don't be like this. Everyone in the group laughed when they saw Susiener's excitement. However, they also knew that Lugoan had something to do with Susiener, so they didn't say much. They all looked at the screen to see what happened to Lugoan. Teacher Miyobi, it's like this, I want to become a good person, but I suddenly found that if I draw orthodox comics, I can no longer draw them. Is there any way to get rid of the shackles of the notebook? I'm going, Lugoan, aren't you? You don't want to draw in the notebook anymore. Why? You are so famous in the book world. Isn't this too sudden? A group of people who were planning to peek at the screen were shocked by Lugoan's words and expressed disbelief. Due to the recent changes in painting styles, although the status of cartoonists has not improved, their income is the same as before. This is also the reason why they can chat and slap each other every day. Susiener did not appear before. At that time, a large part of this group was discussing how to make the book attractive. And today Lugoan actually wants to become a good person? Susiener was also curious, why don't you draw a book? She knew that most of the comic book artists in this group were adult men in their 30s, and some of them were married and started a business, such as Lugoan, who already had a wife. So since you can make money by drawing notebooks, why should you still be a good person? After all, being a good person is risky. For example, the question the other party is asking now is that he doesn't understand orthodox comics, or he has drawn too many books and is no longer good at telling stories. As for the previous orthodox comics, it should have been eliminated a long time ago. It's all martial arts stories, readers have long been tired of it. Nowadays, orthodox comics are in the age of fantasy, whoever has a big and reasonable idea will be popular. After all, her style of painting has been corrected by her. I had a gathering with some old classmates 2 days ago, and then we talked about my current job. In fact, when people asked me online what I do for a living, I didn't even dare to say that I was a cartoonist, for fear of being asked deeply, but my old classmates, well, I thought it was okay to talk, but they found out that I was a book illustrator. How can I say that they disliked me, but I could clearly feel that the atmosphere at that time became a bit awkward. Lugoan thought. I couldn't help but sigh after what happened in the past 2 days, and then continued typing. After I went back, I suddenly woke up. My daughter is now 3 or 4 years old. What will the child think of me when she grows up? What if her classmates ask her father? What does she do? Could it be that her father draws books? What will the students at school think of my daughter? If my daughter is rejected by her classmates, I will feel guilty for the rest of my life, so I feel that I cannot if I keep drawing books, at least I have to break into the orthodox comic industry, right? Lugoan spoke for a long time, causing the whole group to suddenly fall silent. Indeed, although the country develops AK and does not exclude Benzi and Lifen, in terms of social status, they are the communicators of pornography. Most parents hate them, and even they themselves will not show it to their juniors. Times are developing, and most people may understand that these are part of the job category, but in society, even if they make too much money, their status is still not high. They are not like Susiener. Even if they continue to draw notebooks, no one will look down on the other. They only draw notebooks, and they can only draw notebooks. In the future, what will their descendants think of them? Susiener didn't expect Lugoan to say such words. Madam. Susiener pondered for a while and said in a rare serious tone, actually, if you want to go ashore, why are you in such a hurry? Can you eat hot tofu in a hurry? Think about what you want to draw first. It's only taken a day or two to think of a story. Can't come out, let alone creativity. Teacher Miyobi, I can realize that I actually can't tell stories, and every time I draw, all the plots in my mind drift to the notebook. I used to think about how to make the notebook more attractive, but now I draw orthodox comics. I will draw the heroine very attractive. Luoan typed with a wry smile, I have been drawing books for nearly 10 years, and I feel like I can't change. Then change slowly. Susiena rolled her eyes, it doesn't mean that orthodox comics can't draw the heroine in a sexy way. By the way, what subject matter do you want to draw? Chef type. Luoan said embarrassedly, my wife is a cook and owns a small restaurant. In addition, I saw that the subject matter in the comics industry does not seem to have this subject matter, so I wanted to draw. Of course, except for this there are many topics I want to cover. Chef, Susiena suddenly thought of a comic book, and then said, actually, if you want to draw this kind of subject, you can also draw the heroine very sexy. Well. At this moment, many group friends who were quietly watching the conversation couldn't help but wonder, can chef-type comics still depict the heroine in a sexy way? Teacher Miobi, can you tell me in detail, Luoan really doesn't know how to draw the female protagonist in chef comics. Eat food and wear clothes. Susiena said a few words in a nonchalant manner, and then left everyone in the group stunned. Can, be more detailed, Luoan typed in shame. She looked at the time and saw that get out of class was over in more than half an hour. It was boring anyway, so Susiena didn't refuse. Surprised or not? Is it surprising? Gao is not happy? Vo transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 196. Ah, the world is going to explode. It has been a week since the last discussion in the Xianya group. Susiena has long forgotten about that matter. At this moment, she is lying on the table with a look of despair. Looking at the students around her who are still reviewing after class, she can't help but feel out of place. When can she go to college? She can't wait to go to college. There are no fun online games. Recently, major mobile game companies are making new games, making it difficult for her to find good games. And she keeps urging Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope every day, and Bilibili is also rushing to work. Of course, even if she urges, she will ask the production team to make a fine product, otherwise she will be screwed if they make a low-quality game. So she has nothing to do these days, and boring days are coming again. Of course, boring in her eyes is class. At home, she can still watch videos online, but she can't do this in the classroom. Last time, her mobile phone was confiscated by Joe Kinja. Although she gave it to her after class, she was also warned that if she played with her mobile phone in class again, she would return it after the college entrance examination. Seeing this, Lin Jingshu, who was reviewing next to her, was very helpless. Can't you review well? Susiena didn't say much, and directly left a math test paper with full marks on the other person's desk. Looking at the dazzling 150 points, Lin Jingshu rolled her eyes and ignored the other person. At Miobi, Miobi teacher has an urgent matter. At Miobi, Miobi teacher, come out quickly. When Susiena continued to pick up her phone and put on headphones to watch the B Station Ghost, she found that everyone in the Xianya group seemed to be tagging her. This situation is not common. Susiena's eyes lit up. Did something interesting happen? What's wrong? Susiena looked excited. Is there something fun? She is bored now? Mr. Miobi, someone plagiarized your idea. Master Yi, who never showed up, was very angry and serious when he saw Susiena appear. He didn't wait for Susiena to ask, and said bluntly, didn't you discuss the chef theme with Luoan last time? Someone in our group saw it, and then drew it directly within a week, and uploaded a new comic today. After this kind of thing happened, there will definitely be a crisis of trust in the group. They are a small group and have good personal relationships, but it still happened. People in the group will definitely be cautious when chatting in the future. This is something Master Yi doesn't want to see. But it happened, he was also very helpless and could only think of a way. Then what? Susiener blinked, thinking it was something fun. Isn't this a bit similar to the last picture theft incident? Then the people in the group were choked by Susiener's 3 words. Bouletigny was straightforward and said angrily, "Mr. Miobi, aren't you angry that the guy copied your idea? This, since it is discussed in the group, it must be public." Susiener felt that this group of people were making a fuss, and curled her lips and said, "You can also take it to draw, I don't mind." Of course, Susiener also knew that it was said that way, but as long as the 3 views are correct, they will not secretly take the subject matter she and Lugoen discussed to draw for themselves. That person must be a bad person, but what can they do? Since it is discussed publicly, various things cannot be avoided. It is normal for such things to happen. Even if she starts to spit on Weibo, what can it do? At that time, as long as the guy doesn't speak and says nothing, then she spit on the other party on Weibo, which is also a publicity for the other party. When the other party becomes popular with this, she will be furious. Since such a disgusting thing has been done, the other party must have their own way to deal with it. After all, they are all adults and not giant babies like Matcha. It is impossible for the other party not to think that they will be angry and what they will do. If I can help Susiener, I will help, but this matter is unsolvable, because she and Lugoen discussed it openly in the group. Even the other party can't even be considered plagiarism. So Susiener has no interest in this matter. She doesn't want to care about things that can't win in the end. It's all my fault. Zion has a good relationship with us. He talked to me privately about the idea that I discussed with teacher Miobi. I thought he wanted to help me expand the plot, but I didn't expect that he would use it directly. Lugoen smiled bitterly at this time. I have been thinking about the outline and dealing with the plot recently. I didn't expect that the other party would draw 1 episode a week and then post it directly. That's not all. The other party directly quit the group and blocked everyone. This is really amazing. Everyone in the group was indignant, but they could do nothing. So are we just going to let that guy get away with it? I was very upset. He had always hated evil. Although he was a book illustrator, his favorite things to read were martial arts novels and comics. We can't do anything, but at least we can ruin his reputation. If we make a big fuss, wouldn't that be a disguised publicity for him? Master Yi also reacted at this time and sighed. Mr. Miobi, I think you can draw a chef-themed comic to snipe him. When they heard this, the eyes of the people in the group lit up. Oh, didn't Susiener finish Book of Life and Death? You can definitely start a new comic. Okay. Master Yi couldn't stand it anymore. Teacher Miobi must have his own thoughts on the new comic, and maybe he has already drawn it again. Don't be morally kidnapped. Let's do this, let Zion guy draw it. If he is not popular, if he does, that's okay. If he gets popular, we will expose this matter and ruin his reputation. In the end, it's Lugoen who is not careful. In the end, Master Yi couldn't help but say goodbye, which was also a reminder to the people in the group that they are all in their 30s and don't say anything outside. Susiener's ability to discuss her previous ideas in the group shows that she doesn't care. After all, chef-themed comics are a niche, and Lugoen just wanted to try them out at first. That's all it can do. Everyone also felt that they had gone too far. Teacher Miobi was their teacher, and he was doing his best to help them. After all, this was Lugoen's own business. Susiener. Just when Susiener peeked at the screen and thought that this was the case, Jokinja's voice suddenly came from the side, making her startled. She quickly put her phone away, then she turned to look at Jokinja and said, "Teacher, why are you here? Get out of class is over now and I'm not playing with my phone in class. Fill out the form." Jokinja rolled her eyes and handed the thing in her hand to Susiener. Susiener took it over and took a look at the Provincial Education Bureau Mathematical Olympiad Exchange registration form. She couldn't help but look at Joe Kinja warily and said, "Teacher, what is this?" "Oh, the Mathematical Olympiad Exchange meeting specially organized by the Provincial Education Bureau is half of the competition, and all students in the first and second grades of high school are gathered." Joe Kinja did not hide this, "but I see that you have nothing to do all day long, so let me you signed up," and Lin Jingshu said you were bored every day. Susiener looked at Lin Jingshu next to her with a look of sorrow and anger, but saw the other person looking at her innocently. "I don't want to participate." "Are you sure?" Joe Kinja's eyes became sharp and dangerous, and she looked at Susiener with a smile. "Teacher, you are threatening." "I don't," Joe Kinja said expressionlessly, "participate in this mathematical Olympiad exchange meeting. As long as you can get first place, I will give you a week's vacation." "I believed your evil deeds." Susiener brainstormed for a while, her eyes lit up, and she suddenly said with indignation, "Teacher, forgive me for not being able to go, I encountered something very unpleasant today." With that said, without waiting for Joe Kinja to ask, Susiener told what happened at the Xianya concentration camp just now. "Teacher, I think people who plagiarize ideas need to be taught a lesson." Susiener said righteously, "I plan to draw a comic about chefs to teach them a lesson, and then teach them about the bad behavior of such a close friend. I said on Weibo that I would like to provide positive energy to society. I am sorry that I cannot attend this arcane exchange meeting. Recommend a song, Red Zhao Yuan. NetEase Cloud has it, if it sounds bad, come and kill me. OVO.